Welcome to Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story, where we answer the questions you have about your favorite classic authors. What inspired your favorite author to write their novels? What was going on in the world at the time? Follow along with us as we tell you what was happening in the world while your favorite authors wrote your favorite classics. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read, and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. If you enjoy our show, be sure to follow the show on your favorite podcast platform so you get all the new episodes. You can find us on all the social medias at Bite at a Time Books or on our website, biteatatimebooksbehindthestory.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter for more information on who we're talking about and what's coming next for the podcasts. We're part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you'd also like to hear a book by the author we are currently featuring, check out the Bite at a Time Books podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Today we'll be talking about the final years of Oscar Wilde, 1897 to 1900. Exile. The Wilde's health had suffered greatly from the harshness and diet of prison. He had a feeling of spiritual renewal. He immediately wrote to the Society of Jesus, requesting a 6-month Catholic retreat. When the request was denied, Wilde wept. "I intend to be received into the Catholic Church before long," Wilde told a journalist who asked about his religious intentions. Wilde spent his last 3 years, usually impoverished and in exile. He took the name Sebastian Melmoth, after Saint Sebastian, and the titular character of Melmoth the Wanderer, a Gothic novel by Charles Maturin, Wilde's great-uncle. Wilde wrote 2 long letters to the editor of the Daily Chronicle, describing the brutal conditions of English prisons and advocating for penal reform. His discussion of the dismissal of Warder Martin for giving biscuits to an anemic child prisoner repeated the themes of the corruption and degeneration of punishment that he had earlier outlined in The Soul of Man Under Socialism. The English writer, Ernest Dowson, who had known Wilde for a number of years and was one of the few individuals to support him during and after his conviction, is said to have remade his acquaintance in Dieppe. In a story later repeated by W.B. Yeats, Dowson encouraged Wilde to visit a brothel and have sex with a female prostitute in order to repair his reputation. According to Dowson, after the encounter, Wilde said in a low voice, "The first these 10 years, and it will be the last. It was like cold mutton. But tell it in England, for it will entirely restore my character." Wilde spent mid-1897 with Robert Ross in the seaside village of Berneval-le-Grand in northern France, where he wrote The Ballad of Reading Gaol, narrating the execution of Charles Thomas Wooldridge, who murdered his wife in a rage at her infidelity. It moves from an objective storytelling to symbolic identification with the prisoners. No attempt is made to assess the justice of the laws which convicted them, but rather the poem highlights the brutality of the punishment that all convicts share. Wilde juxtaposes the executed man and himself with the line, "Yet each man kills the thing he loves." He adopted the proletarian ballad form, and the author was credited as C33, Wilde's cell number in Reading Gaol. He suggested that it be published in Reynolds Magazine, because it circulates widely among the criminal classes to which I now belong. For once, I will be read by my peers, a new experience for me. It was an immediate, roaring commercial success, going through 7 editions in less than 2 years, only after which Oscar Wilde was added to the title page, though many in literary circles had known Wilde to be the author. Although Douglas had been the cause of his misfortunes, he and Wilde were reunited in August 1897 at Rouen. This meeting was disapproved of by the friends and families of both men. Constance Wilde was already refusing to meet Wilde or allow him to see their sons, though she sent him money, £3 a week. During the latter part of 1897, Wilde and Douglas lived together near Naples for a few months until they were separated by their families under the threat of cutting off all funds. Wilde's final address was at the dingy Hotel des Alces, now known as L'Hotel, on Rue des Beaux-Arts in Saint-Germain-des-Prés, Paris. This poverty really breaks one's heart. It is so stale, filthy, so utterly depressing, so hopeless. "Pray, do what you can," he wrote to his publisher. He corrected and published An Ideal Husband and The Importance of Being Earnest, the proofs of which, according to Ellman, show a man very much in command of himself and of the play. But he refused to write anything else. I can write, but have lost the joy of writing. He wandered the boulevards alone and spent what little money he had on alcohol. A series of embarrassing chance encounters with hostile English visitors, or Frenchmen he had known in better days, drowned his spirit. Soon, Wilde was sufficiently confined to his hotel to joke, on one of his final trips outside. My wallpaper and I are fighting a duel to the death. One of us has got to go. On 12 October 1900, he sent a telegram to Ross. Terribly weak, please come. His moods fluctuated. Max Beerbohm relates how their mutual friend, Reginald Reggie Turner, had found Wilde very depressed after a nightmare. I dreamt that I had died and was supping with the dead. I am sure, Turner replied, that you must have been the life and soul of the party. In early 1900 in Sicily, Oscar Wilde became involved in a relationship with the 15-year-old Giuseppe Laverde. Death. By 25 November 1900, Wilde had developed meningitis, then called cerebral meningitis. Robbie Ross arrived on 29 November and sent for a priest. Wilde was conditionally baptized into the Catholic Church by Father Cuthbert Dunn, a Passionist priest from Dublin who was resident in Paris. Father Dunn recorded the baptism. As the voiture rolled through the dark streets that wintry night, the sad story of Oscar Wilde was in part repeated to me. Robert Ross knelt by the bedside, assisting me as best he could while I administered conditional baptism. And afterwards, answering the responses while I gave extreme unction to the prostrate man and recited the prayers for the dying. As the man was in a semi-comatose condition, I did not venture to administer the Holy Viaticum. Still, I must add that he could be roused and was roused from this state in my presence. When roused, he gave signs of being inwardly conscious. Indeed, I was fully satisfied that he understood me when told that I was about to receive him into the Catholic Church and gave him the last sacraments. And when I repeated close to his ear the holy names, the acts of contrition, faith, hope, and charity, with acts of humble resignation to the will of God, he tried all through to say the words after me. Wilde died of meningitis on 30 November 1900. Dubious opinions have been given as to the cause of the disease. Richard Ellman judged it was syphilitic. Merlin Holland, Wilde's grandson, thought this to be a misconception, noting that Wilde's meningitis followed a surgical intervention, perhaps a mastoidectomy. Wilde's physicians, Paul Kleiss and Acort Tucker, reported that the condition stemmed from an old suppuration of the right ear from the prison injury, treated for several years, and made no allusion to syphilis. Burial. Wilde was initially buried in the Cimetière des Bagneaux, outside Paris. In 1909, his remains were disinterred and transferred to Père Lachaise Cemetery inside the city. His tomb there was designed by Sir Jacob Epstein. It was commissioned by Robert Ross, who asked for a small compartment to be made for his own ashes, which were duly transferred in 1950. The modernist angel depicted as a relief on the tomb was originally complete with male genitalia, which were initially censored by French authorities with a golden leaf. The genitals have since been vandalized. Their current whereabouts are unknown. In 2000, Leon Johnson, a multimedia artist, installed a silver prosthesis to replace them. In 2011, the tomb was cleaned of the many lipstick marks left there by admirers, and a glass barrier was installed to prevent further marks or damage. The epitaph is a verse from the Ballad of Reading Gaol. And alien tears will fill for him. Pity his long broken urn. From his mourners will be outcast men, and outcasts always mourn. Posthumous pardon. In 2017, Wilde was among an estimated 50,000 men who were pardoned for homosexual acts that were no longer considered offenses under the Policing and Crime Act 2017. Homosexuality was decriminalized in England and Wales in 1967. The 2017 Act implemented what is known informally as the Alan Turing Law. In 2025, the British Library restored Wilde's library card after the conviction-related revocation of the card 130 years before. The new card was accepted by Wilde's grandson, Merlin Holland. Honors. Wilde is generally considered by most literary commenters to be the greatest playwright of the Victorian era. Several honors have been erected in his memory. On 14 February 1995, Wilde was commemorated with a stained glass window at Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey. The memorial, above the monument to Geoffrey Chaucer, was unveiled by his grandson Merlin Holland, while Sir John Gielgud read from the final part of De Profundis, and Dame Judi Dench read an extract from The Importance of Being Earnest. In 2014, Wilde was one of the inaugural honorees in the Rainbow Honor Walk, a walk of fame in San Francisco's Castro neighborhood, noting LGBTQ people who have made significant contributions in their fields. The Oscar Wilde Temple, an installation by visual artists McDermott and McGuff, opened in 2017 in cooperation with Church of the Village in New York City, then moved to Studio Voltaire in London the next year. Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story today, while we answered some of the questions you have about one of your favorite classic authors. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you join us next time when we answer more questions about one of your favorite classic authors. If you enjoyed our show, be sure to follow us so you get all the new episodes. We would also love for you to drop us a rating on your favorite podcast platform. You can catch us on all the social medias at Bite at a Time Books, or check out our website, biteatatimebooksbehindthestory.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter. Our show is part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you would also like to hear a story by the author we are currently featuring, check out the Bite at a Time Books podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, or on biteatatimebooks.com.